Today we're going to do another NFL draft feature, and it comes on a player who had pretty much a 0% chance of making it to the NFL. At one point, he was a little-known recruit coming out of the state of Virginia and decided to enroll with the Virginia Cavaliers. Unfortunately, he had disagreements with the team and may have even potentially gotten his name thrown through the mud, so he decided to transfer to Marshall to rejuvenate his career. What he did over the next 2 years was pretty insane. Not only did he become one of the best players in Marshall football history, but he led the FBS in sacks and is currently one of the hottest prospects in the 2025 NFL draft pool. Many scouts believe he's a lock to go in the first round, with some even having him close to the top 10. Mike Green is a name that you absolutely need to know, but how on earth did he get to this point? Today we're going to talk about his crazy journey from unknown recruit to 2 different colleges into now potentially the first round, and both the strengths and weaknesses surrounding his game. But before we get started, if you're a big fan of college football, be sure to subscribe to the channel, leave a like if you want to support today's video, and let me know what player, team, topic, or situation I can cover next. Now let's get started and talk about the near impossible rise of Mike Green. Okay, so before we can get going with the video, be sure to take a quick moment to go down in the comment section below and let me know what prospect or rookie I should cover next. My goal is to do 100 of these between now and the end of July, so be sure to drop a guy down below and check out the playlist for all the features on this year's rookies and draft prospects. Okay, so going back in time, Mike Green ended up growing in a football-loving family, and he excelled on the gridiron. His brother EJ was older than him and eventually ended up at Old Dominion for football, paving the way for him to get into the FBS as well. It wasn't always easy though. EJ said, quote, "My mom was a single mother. She was an in-home nurse and worked very hard. She had 5 of us children, and even though we didn't have much, we never really struggled for meals, and my mom always made a way to feed and clothe us." The Greens ended up growing up in Newport News, Virginia, but they eventually moved to Williamsburg, and things got a lot better for them there. They both played football, and as I said, EJ got low FBS attention, but Mike had an extremely bright future and could go further in football than he could. Going into his junior season, his high school coach said that one local recruiter thought that Green could be a top 5 tight end recruit in the country for the class of 2021. While Green had no formal offers at the time, he expected them to pour in soon after a couple of big performances. His high school coach said, quote, "The kid is big and tall and an incredible athlete. He has great hands and can simply go up and get the ball." Okay, so he was 6'4" and nearly 215 pounds, and on the defensive side of the ball, he had 70 tackles and 9 sacks. He also recovered 4 fumbles, blocked 4 kicks, and was great on the offensive side of the ball, and helped them go 19-3 over the past 2 years. He started to get a ton of offers, and eventually decided to commit to the Virginia Cavaliers. As a fun side note, he went to the same high school as Hall of Famer Lawrence Taylor, and this was a big get for the Cavs. I feel great about going to the FBS, but I'm not going to be one of those guys who gets big-headed about what college I go to. I'm just going to strive to be the best that I can be. Green ended up choosing the Cavaliers over Virginia Tech, UCF, Kentucky, K-State, Boston College, Ole Miss, Pitt, and Syracuse. This would be a big commitment for the Virginia as well, as Bronco Mendenhall's previous recruiting class did not have a single signee from the state, but Green was going to be their guy. He was kind of shocked at how it all played out, as he said, quote, "I actually didn't expect my recruitment to blow up like this. I've always been one of the type of players that try to do more and get my teammates to do the same. So when I look back at that and the stuff and the work I put in, I now think it was worth it, and this is where I was meant to be." He could have visited a number of other schools and his recruitment could have blown up even more, but he decided Virginia was the perfect fit for both athletics and academics, and there was no reason for him to push off the decision if he already knew where he wanted to go. He was offered as both a tight end and a linebacker, but he would end up playing linebacker at UVA. He got along with their defensive coordinator and linebackers coach really well and thought he would fit in perfectly with their 3-4 scheme. It was set, but nobody really knew about him, and scouts also didn't really know where to place him. According to 24/7 Sports, he was listed as a 3-star recruit, the number 109 wide receiver, and the 702nd best player in the class of 2021. So how would he end up doing at Virginia? Well, he'd actually play very sparingly, as over his first 2 years, he played in 6 games as a freshman in 2021, and then would actually redshirt in 2022. I guess this is honestly what you could have expected, but it is a little bit shocking that he played in 3 games his freshman year, but decided to redshirt in 2022. Sadly, some bad stuff would surface, as apparently he was accused of some certain stuff that never ended up coming to fruition, and there was a huge disconnect between him, the reporters, and the coaching staff. He said, quote, "At the time, teams were just able to suspend you. I was suspended off the team and I wasn't let go, and I had to depart from the university, but I also could have stayed if I wanted to. but after I got suspended, I just wanted a fresh start, and I wanted to go somewhere that I was able to lay down a new foundation. He said that the accusations were not true, and that the truth would prevail, and ultimately he would find his fresh start. Now that he had to find a new school, he got some direction from one of his former high school coaches, and he pointed him to Huntington, West Virginia. Green said, quote, "Marshall's a great school to focus on football. There's not many distractions out there. It's just ball. When the community and the football's program is all about football, it makes you lean towards locking in a little bit more." So yeah, he started playing in 2023 and had taken nearly a year off of football at this time, but then he reached a tough moment. He was benched for one of their games and would not step foot on the field, so after this, he changed his attitude. He started studying film more and spent more time working on the fundamentals and was always in the coaching staff's office. This would pay off, as by the end of 2023, he'd become one of the better players on the team. In total, he finished with 43 total tackles, 1 forced fumble, and 4.5 sacks. After the season was over, head coach Charles Huff said Green could have left Marshall for NIL deals. He said, quote, "You're talking about a guy who could have left for NIL. He's a guy who could have gone out and could have easily been on X, Y, or Z Power 5 school, but he chose to stay. He's a generational talent and a generational human." To offer his own perspective, Green said, quote, "I wanted to focus on the bigger picture. Of course, there were opportunities to get more funds while being in college, but I felt like I was looking at the bigger picture here." Before the season started, Huff had great expectations for him, and he said it wasn't very tough to poke at him. All he had to do was mention all the award watch lists that Green was not on, and how at one point they had forgotten about him. Luckily, he was put on pretty much all of these watch lists by the end of the season, but Huff said it never really got to his head. He said, quote, "You want to talk about a guy who's the most humble human being you'll ever meet? He walks into the building every day like it's his first day, and I call him Mr. Bednarik, and he blushes. It's embarrassing to him, and he said, 'Coach, I'm just trying to be better.'" What's also cool is he got a chance to play against his brother in 2024, and apparently they had these cool shirts and had nearly 50 family members at the game. How did Green end up doing in 2024? Well, he had a historic season. He ended up finishing with 81 total tackles, 3 forced fumbles, and an FBS leading 17 sacks. In an impressive stretch between Southern Miss, Coastal Carolina, and Louisiana Monroe, he ended up combining for 7 sacks in just 3 games. As I said, this guy was an absolute superstar, and he also led the nation with 23 TFLs. To go alongside that, he had 3 forced fumbles, 2 pass deflections, and a fumble recovery. In addition to sacks, he led all FBS players in sack yardage, TFL yardage, and tackles by a defensive lineman. Some will say it was against poor competition, but when he played against Power 4 schools, he was also great. He had 2 tackles and a sack against Ohio State, and 5 tackles and 2 sacks against Virginia Tech. With a sack against Louisiana in the 2024 Sun Belt Championship, he broke the Sun Belt's conference single-season sack record, and also tied Marshall's single-season record. Because of this, he was named the 2024 Sun Belt Conference Player of the Year, led Marshall to a 10-3 record, and also won a conference championship while having one of the most dominant seasons in school history. He decided to declare for the 2025 NFL Draft and became the 3rd player in the last 2 seasons to represent Marshall at the Senior Bowl, and he was also obviously invited to the NFL Combine. So now as we turn to his NFL portfolio, some think he could be as high as a top 10 pick. That's a little bit of a stretch, but for the most part, he's a consistent lock for the first round, and some say he'll go in the late teens. That's pretty much the consensus, and his scouting report is that he's a great pass rusher, and he's a good athlete with good acceleration, and is also solid against the run. He does have a bit of a thin and wiry frame though, as he'll need to add size and strength to match up against NFL offensive tackles. The other 2 knocks on his game are that he's only played 1 year as a starter, which means he could be a 1-year wonder, and it was also against lower competition, but as I said, against the 2 best teams he played, he also was really solid. One NFL scout said, quote, "Mike Green isn't going to be an every down player for a while, but he's one of the best pure pass rushers in this draft class. The Marshall product led the nation with 17 sacks this past season, and his bend and get-off speed around the edge will give him a chance to play in a similar role to Josh Uche of the Patriots right away. His draft stock has done nothing but rise since he declared for the draft, as there was a viral highlight of him bowling over Oregon's offensive tackle Josh Connerly, who's one of the top players in this year's draft class. He dominated at the Senior Bowl, and as I record this video, is currently at the Combine. As I said, there are some scouts who think he could be a top 10 pick, but one NFL mock draft had him going as high as number 11 overall. He's given a prospect grade of 6.45, which means he'll be a good starter within 2 years according to that metric. Some have questions about him, but he's not fazed. Green said, quote, "I'm not worried at all. As you can see throughout this process, I've been rising higher and higher and higher, and that should tell you everything that you need to know. As we've now gotten into the combine process, there definitely is some people who are trying to unpack baggage from his time at Virginia, and whether all that stuff is true or not, I can't really tell you. That's ultimately above my pay grade on this YouTube channel, but I hope nothing ended up going wrong and that he gets a chance to go in the first round and become one of the better stories in this year's draft class. I'll definitely look forward to watching him, but what do you guys think? If you're a Marshall fan, how good do you think Mike Green is? And if you're a fan of the NFL, do you want your team to get him? Be sure to let me know your thoughts on him down below, and let me know what rookie or NFL draft prospect I should cover next. Also, before you go, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and check out all my videos on the end screen. I hope to see you guys again soon, but until next time, peace.